are African-American active duty and reserve personnel in the military. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he isn't backing down from threats that President Trump may target his city with militarized immigration enforcement. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the tiger?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron James is talking like he's coming back with the Lakers to play his 23rd NBA season. While filming a new commercial for Amazon called What's Next, LeBron told the Associated Press that his main objective in the offseason is to get his left knee healthy. That comment is a clear indication that LeBron is planning to play next season. LeBron suffered a sprained ligament in his knee during Game 5 of the Lakers' season-ending loss to Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs. The injury did not require surgery. LeBron, who turns 41 in December, has been doing treatment and rehab since the injury. LeBron's return is not yet official. He has until June 26th to accept a player option for next season worth $56.2 million. Kevin Durant has told the Phoenix Suns that if they trade him, here are the 3 teams he would like to go to: Miami, San Antonio, or Houston. Durant will be 37 in September. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews. Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe. Over the years, LaShell has catered most major Black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, LaShell's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. LaShell's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So, head on over to LaShell's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell LaShell you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the move. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show's called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Let's go. Let's go. It's hump day, as they say, Wednesday. We got a lot to do, a lot to talk about. It's Gemini season. It's Juneteenth Eve. It's all of that. So look, this is how we do the show on a Wealth Building Wednesday. Hour 1, we look local. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond, and typically kick off the hour with some wealth building. And hour 3, we do a deep dive, hot topic type of thing. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to start off today with me, you, and this microphone telephone at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. We'll be hearing from Dr. David Turner. Looking forward to that. In hour 2, we'll learn a little bit about verified, Black-owned. And we got phone lines open, wide open, lots of space for you today if you got a thing to say. As you know, tomorrow is officially the 4th anniversary of KBLA, Talk 1580. The very, very first time we cracked the mic on this bad boy was 4 years ago tomorrow. And it was purposely, of course, done on Juneteenth so that we would be able to have an anniversary on a day when we already have a day off. Well, we didn't have it when we first started, but we already party. And the parties start today. Today. Our focus on climate justice has been, we were very intense with it in 2024, but we haven't let up on that. And we've added health and well-being on top of that to our areas of emphasis. And tonight on C-SPAN television, Tavis Smiley will be doing a town hall meeting on both of those with an incredible panel of experts, including Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager-Dove and many others. You don't want to miss it. So if you're somewhere in the world that isn't LA, you can watch it on C-SPAN. But if you're here, I believe, Odell, I think there's a few tickets, just a few left for that event, which is tonight. Actually, it's this afternoon, really. Starts at 4. So if you can do it right now, do it right now. It's going to be KBLA1580.com. And there's 4 different events. 4 events, 4 years, get it? Okay, so the first one is, of course, we start with the owner and leader of this station, Tavis Smiley, and it's tonight. So you want to go up there and just register at KBLA1580.com. It's free, absolutely free, but reserve a seat. Let us know you're coming. In the case of Juneteenth barbecue or my event, which also has a luncheon, we're going to want to have food for you. So we're going to need to know that you're coming. Head count and all that good stuff for the family picnic. So go to KBLA1580.com. Do it right now. And you can reserve one or all 4 events, and they're free. Tomorrow we're doing Juneteenth barbecue at a location that you'll receive when you register. And we are asking everyone to bring a gift card of any size, whatever you can afford, small or large, from a grocery chain or a restaurant chain, because there are still families, believe it or not, displaced by this Altadena fire, and we are not abandoning them, and we are asking your help in continuing to show them love and support. So whatever you can do, whatever we can do together, we are very, very grateful for your partnership. We want to celebrate with you. I'm gonna be at all the things, but most especially, of course, Saturday, I'm hosting a couple of panel discussions, the state of Black women in LA, and I've got a stellar couple of panels as well, and we will have lunch together after that, and we'll have some fellowship and talk and build on solutions, right? When we lay out the state of Black women in LA. And by the way, all are welcome. You don't have to be a Black woman. You don't even have to be Black or a woman. You just have to be human to come and join us in that conversation. The panel will be comprised of Black women, but everyone's invited to come and break bread with us and build some solutions. This is exciting. It's a big deal. I can't believe it's been 4 years since I left the front page. And all the doubters said, it's a mistake. It won't last a year. You'll be lucky if you get 52 weeks. And here we are 4 years later. And The reason, of course, I love the front page. I dedicated almost 17 years of my life to that project and Stevie Wonder and taking it to the next level. But I really believed in the vision that Tavis Smiley had for KBLA 1580. I always thought we should have a black talk radio station. Of course, in my original vision, I was the owner, but this works out much better because it's almost like you have to be a superhero. You have to be a Stevie Wonder or a Tavis Smiley or a Maya Angelou-sized human to pull off black-owned media in the environment that we're in today, especially talk radio. Think about it. There are thousands of talk radio stations across the United States. Only 5 of them, count them on one hand, are owned by black people. Only 5. So you think about all these people when we talk about changing the narrative. He who controls the story controls the perception. Perception is reality. You got thousands of people that probably don't look like you. Even if you're not black, they probably don't look like you. They definitely don't look like you on the inside because they ain't progressive. Controlling thousands of conversations, right? About what we should like, who we should vote for, what bills we support. They're controlling that conversation. And so I always felt it was a shame that the West Coast never had one. And so I was willing to risk it all. And also, of course, I couldn't resist the opportunity to be the first black woman to host a solo commercial talk radio show in this market. LA, Los Angeles, for those who are not radio nerds, is the second largest market, media market for all media in the United States, the first being New York. Well, so they say. Of course, we think we're number 1, but Nielsen and all those folks tell us we're number 2. Whatever, I roll, West Side. So I couldn't resist that opportunity. So, and I'm so grateful to be here 4 years later, and I'm so grateful to you because it is you who have made this possible. We don't own a billboard company. We don't have millions of dollars for TV marketing. It's the Hood Grapevine. It's the people's network that has made us thrive and continue to grow. And I'm so grateful for that. So in honor of our 4 events for 4 years, maybe there's 1 or 2 of your friends that you haven't asked to download the KBLA 1580 app. If that's the case, that could be our birthday gift. Tell a friend. It's free. You can get it at the Google Play Store or the App Store if you have an iPhone. And just download the app for free. That lets the powers that be know that, people listen, people download. And that's what's doing it for us. We're working outside the matrix. We're independent, black-owned. We're not part of a conglomerate. We're not a corporate darling. So, and in today's environment where you have an activist Republican controlling the FCC, we need the power of the people with us to be able to continue to speak truth to power, to continue to be unapologetically progressive, to stay true to our promise that we don't black down, which I don't see, we're hard-headed around here. I don't see that changing. We go down fighting around here. 800-920-1580. If you got something you want to talk about, weigh in on. That's how we do it. And of course, the same thing for socials, right? If you can follow us, KBLA 1580 on Twitter. Yeah, I called it Twitter. Or Instagram or Facebook, Snapchat, especially TikTok, because we're kind of late to the TikTok party. Please follow, like, subscribe, talk smack. That makes us stronger, and it makes us better together. And then, of course, my personals are diprimaradio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. And love talking with you there. So big week around here. And tonight we will see you at the Climate Justice and Well-Being C-SPAN Forum hosted by Tavis Smiley. We're in the middle of a heat wave. Well, it seems like a short heat wave, but it's hot. And it's going to last through today, especially if you're in the Inland Empire or Orange County. They're saying 118 degrees in Palm Springs. That's beastly. I'm sorry. Why don't y'all just drive up here? 103 in Palmdale and 101 in San Bernardino. Triple digits in parts of the valley. So it's going to be hot. Not Las Vegas hot, but hot. So drink your water. Gotta drink your water. What we don't understand is that you can die from heat. People die and people think it's other things that they had, whatever other diseases they had. But there's an extreme heat warning on right now. You've got to drink your water. You've got to stay in your air conditioning, especially if you're chronologically gifted. And if you have an elder friend or relative, neighbor, check up on them. Make sure that, bring some watermelon slices. Watermelon is so hydrating and delicious. I'm making myself want some. Fire conditions, of course, are elevated, and we don't need any more of that. So be careful. If you're going to blaze one, do it inside, over the sink. No campfires, no, all that stuff. Okay? We want to be safe, and we want to be well together. We do have a lot to unpack and a lot to talk about. And so we'll get to that. I invite you in, of course, as usual, 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580, including a very important conversation we need to have about a call for input regarding our gang problem here in Los Angeles. And I'm talking about the gang problem inside of law enforcement. Talk about that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DiPrima when we come forward.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again. Holla.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say.
Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There'll be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominic DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2025, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better. Business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-259-4546. That's 800-259-4546. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-259-4546 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Yeah, we're back to me. We're back to you, 800-920-1580. I think you know that. You are always invited in, and you're invited to speak. And if you're one of those shy types, or you're at work and you don't want to get fired, you can go to youtube.com and get it in the comments. Lots and lots of great conversations happen in the comments. Apparently, Molly Bell is celebrating her 60th class reunion for Compton High School, class of 1965. Congratulations, Queen, and shout outs to everybody who jumps in early. Selena Ricks, E.C. Courtney, and our beloved KBLA Wiegand Keegan, Molly Bell, our beloved KBLA delegation. So look, we know about sheriff's gangs, deputy gangs. Most people have had heard rumor of it before it broke into the mainstream. And shout out to Cerise Castle for her incredible investigative journalism around that. Now, it's even been acknowledged or denied, depending on which sheriff you talk to. I remember our former sheriff, Alex Villanueva, used to say, there is no such thing as deputy gangs, and I've eradicated deputy gangs. Well, which one is it? There's no such thing, or you got rid of them. In any case, right now, the LA County Sheriff's Civilian Oversight Commission, which is supposed to be monitoring the activities of this giant county department that carries guns on their belts, on behalf of us, we the people, they're asking for your feedback. Beyond the research, beyond the recommendations, of which they've already given many, right now there's a survey online. They're asking the community, what is your experience in your interactions with deputies who you suspect of being involved in these gangs, law enforcement gangs, okay? We're not talking Bloods and Crips here. We're talking members of the LA Sheriff's Department. You have until July 15th to get this in. They want to know your perception, your experiences with alleged deputy gangs and alleged deputy gang members. This is something they're going to use for a report back to the LA County Board of Supervisors. And they're also going to use it as they analyze and figure out whether or not the Sheriff's Department has been adequately responding to the public's complaints and concerns about deputy gangs specifically. And this is, according to the Oversight Commission, they say, this is not me talking, this is the Sheriff's Oversight Commission, deputy gangs and cliques have existed within the Sheriff's Department for decades, and they define them as such. Deputy gangs are groups that engage in egregious conduct, such as violations of law, excessive uses of force, threats to the public and their fellow Sheriff's Department personnel, and more. They include deputy gangs and other exclusionary subgroups that could impact the Sheriff's Department's mission, as well as careers, morale, and more. even when their activities do not violate specific laws. Got it? Got it. The Sheriff's Oversight Commission has already issued, like I mentioned, a long list of recommendations to get rid of these gangs and cliques. And they have formally requested in 2023 that the sheriff adopt these and put them into action. And they're tracking how much the sheriff's department is really doing that using report cards. Now, we know there's been varying degrees of compliance, mostly not at all and terrible, to slightly improved, ever so slightly. But this is an important step. You can, you know what? I need to post this link. But you can go on the Sheriff's Oversight Commission website, or you can go to bit.ly/survey deputy gangs. bit.ly/survey deputy gangs. They're also doing a community listening session on July 10th, so you can check that out. I will be announcing it here as well. And this is a commission that was put in position in 2016 to try to track this stuff, track what's going on with our sheriff's department, and they've been blocked many times within the department itself. The only way this is effective is if we, the public, are on board, are paying attention, are participating. So I'm going to really recommend that everyone take this survey. If you've had any contact whatsoever with sheriffs who you believe could have been members of deputy gangs. Okay? Yeah, this is important. Tell a friend, as they say. So the protests are not over. The raids are not over. We know that. The President of the United States has a bone to pick with California. So as long as he's in office, it's going to be something. And he has vowed to continue these raids. Yesterday, they were in Pico Rivera, and they took a bunch of people into ICE custody, including apparently the janitor at the Food for Less. Apparently he's a cartel boss. That's why he's working as a janitor at Food for Less. Anyway, the protests broke out in response. Protesters marched from City Hall to Rosemead in Washington. There were fireworks, and there were people with signs. I mean, this was spontaneous and fairly well attended. The mayor said, the city is trying to help people know their rights, but people are just being scooped up, and we don't know. There were some people that we did know because people witnessed it. This guy named Francisco Urizar, who's the driver of a tortilla truck. He was delivering tortillas somewhere for Mission Foods, and he is now in ICE custody. These are real people with real families, regardless of what you think about ICE or what you think about immigration. There is something very menacing happening in the Southland right now. And Homeland Security wouldn't say how many people they took or where they took them, but people were very angry. And people are confronting the ICE agents. And again, the marches continue. I don't see how it's going to really calm down as people's lives are disrupted and people's loved ones are taken. And I think more and more folks are realizing it's not just, does it directly impact you? It's, is it right or wrong? Time for news, traffic, and sports. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. There may be no turning back hours after President Trump called for Iran's, quote, unconditional surrender. That country's supreme leader said in a social media post, in part, the battle begins. This comes as the White House is sending out a warning to travelers.
Not to travel to Israel or Iraq, and not to travel to Iran under any circumstances.
A Fox News report says the White House is considering strikes against Iran, a move that could push America straight into that war. According to Syracuse University and others, there are over 350,000 Black or African American active duty and reserve personnel in the military. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he isn't backing down from threats that President Trump may target his city with militarized immigration enforcement. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
LeBron James is talking like he's coming back with the Lakers to play his 23rd NBA season. While filming a new commercial for Amazon called What's Next, LeBron told the Associated Press that his main objective in the offseason is to get his left knee healthy. That comment is a clear indication that LeBron is planning to play next season. LeBron suffered a sprained ligament in his knee during Game 5 of the Lakers' season-ending loss to Minnesota in the first round of the playoffs. The injury did not require surgery. LeBron, who turns 41 in December, has been doing treatment and rehab since the injury. LeBron's return is not yet official. He has until June 26th to accept a player option for next season worth $56.2 million. Kevin Durant has told the Phoenix Suns that if they trade him, here are the 3 teams he would like to go to: Miami, San Antonio, or Houston. Durant will be 37 in September. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you for waking up with us indeed. I'm happy to welcome in the head of diversity, equity, and inclusion in clinical research at Takeda. She has a Master of Science in Biomedical Engineering from the University of South Florida and an alumna of Tuskegee University, where she obtained a Bachelor in Science in both biology and physics. I got questions. No, I'm just playing. She's played all kinds of roles, including patient recruitment and retention, clinical operations research, and with biopharmaceutical companies. And I'm so glad to welcome her in. She's now Executive Director, Head of Global Feasibility and Trial Equity. LaShell Robinson, welcome.
Thank you.
These are things that those of us who aren't science czars don't think about every day. But when you talk about research, right, and clinical trials, who is researched and who these trials are done on ultimately has a huge impact, right?
It absolutely does. So over, I would say 15 years ago when I really started delving into this, I mean, you see, I went to Tuskegee University. So at the very, very beginning of my career, I knew that we were missing based off of just what I had seen as an undergrad. And even though there wasn't data yet, I almost could assume that we were probably left out of the research just because of the mistrust. But I saw the disparities in real time. You know, I saw it in my family, people having cancer, diabetes. And I wanted to originally be a doctor because I thought that that was the best way to address those health disparities. But being at Tuskegee, I had an incident that really changed my whole trajectory. And that was when my sister was really suffering from migraines. And for those of you that haven't been to Tuskegee, I mean, we always say it's somewhere in the middle of nowhere, but it is about 40 minutes from Montgomery, Alabama. So because Tuskegee happened, there's no hospitals. It's kind of like a hospital desert.
Wow.
And we would have to take her back and forth to the hospital, 40-minute round trip, 40 minutes each way, so 80 minutes. And this particular time, after about the third time, this doctor, I noticed he was giving her the same exact medications and it wasn't working. And I said to him, you're a doctor, do something. We come here and you give her the same medications every single time. And he said, ma'am, that this is all that we have. At that time, there were really only 2 medications. And I kind of pressed again, and he said, well, unless you want to put her in something, this is all we have. And I was like, what is that something? Then it occurred to me it was clinical research, and kind of everything came together. I thought of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment and how that was a clinical research study. And I said, you know what? I want to do that. I want to get in that process before a drug actually gets approved, because I bet there's certain people that are missing, and this could potentially be causing some of the health disparities that we're seeing with women, in rural communities, with African Americans, and also underrepresented populations. So I literally picked up a physics degree and decided that's what I wanted to do, and went on.
Make it sound so easy. So I just stopped by and got myself a physics degree.
Well, I had a great professor that was actually really pushing. He saw that in me, and he kept saying, you need to be the maker of the medicines, and kind of just serendipitously clicked. And that's what I wanted to do. And so I'm kind of living the dream job, but worked over the last 15 years to really change the way that we design our clinical research trials with inclusion in mind, with representation in mind, because it can help close those gaps.
Yeah, so many questions coming out of what you said. I mean, first of all, we always hear, well, not always, but the last few years, we've heard this big push for women in STEM, and Black people in STEM or STEAM, science, technology. Right. And you obviously heeded the call. You did that. But I think about it as like, it'd be nice to see us. I like to have a Black doctor. Yeah. We've seen this research lately about different outcomes, though, particularly with Black infants and Black doctors, which seems very counterintuitive because we're all human, right?
Right. So it's very, very interesting. We just finished a plaque psoriasis trial, and plaque psoriasis is probably not something that we think of impacting African Americans. But when we started planning for that trial, we wanted to make sure we had good representation, because we saw that there was misdiagnosis, and we also saw there was underdiagnosis, primarily because of how people are taught to diagnose it. Some of the symptoms are like redness of skin. Well, in the Black population, it doesn't show up as redness of skin. It could be gray. In the Hispanic population, it could be salmon colored. But this is something that's in the teaching. And when we even looked at pictures, we saw that less than 5% included people of color collectively. So even in that teaching, the healthcare providers are not necessarily looking for that same they're looking for a diagnosis in a place that it's not going to appear. And so when we think about even that, that's why we sometimes see these differences in infant mortality rates based on race, ethnicity, because sometimes in the teaching, we're not even looking for those different disparities or how the disease presents.
So that's why it's important for you to be in the room.
Right, exactly.
And as you took your personal journey and said, you know what, I'm doing this, did you see that? I mean, did you experience it yourself as far as, oh, it's a good thing I'm in here?
Oh, 100%.
Because
100%. I mean, even so, going back to my job in patient recruitment, I started off as a study coordinator. I volunteered. I couldn't get anyone to hire me from pharma despite all my degrees. I always say that because that work ethic and really just having purpose. So in that experience, I remember looking at some of the materials. This particular clinic was extremely racially and culturally diverse. I mean, everyone from the Caribbean was probably a doctor there, and they were conducting research. And I remember the study coordinator kind of throwing the materials away. And I said, why are you throwing the patient materials away? They're going to need to read this. And she said, well, look at them. we have a primarily Hispanic population. They weren't translated, and they had images that didn't match. And so they were not useful for them. But I took that because when I started developing my patient recruitment materials, I really started looking at, okay, who does the disease actually impact? And we need to make those materials reflect that. So if it's women, we need to have women in the materials. If it's people from African American population, we need to have them reflected in the materials. And we also need to make sure that the places we're advertising include us as well. So that is not something that was naturally intuitive to people. And so that becomes the importance of just having representation of thought in the room as you're doing some of these
Right, not representation as a symbolic thing or something abstract, but as like, oh, well, actually, my skin is turning gray, so the doctor might need to know that.
Exactly.
For outcomes. So when you talk about patient recruitment, I mean, I happen to have a couple of friends who are doctors, surprisingly enough, and they're always talking about how difficult it is to get Black folks to participate in clinical trials. And yet I feel like we're probably, those of us who do know, will sit here and complain and go, well, how come this isn't working for me? Or how come it's not catered to me? Or do they even know how Black people would react to that?
Right.
So how do we close that gap? Or what do you think that is?
So it's really interesting. When I started this original work at my prior company, that was really the sentiment, a lot of mistrust. But before I got a title or a job, I had done a lot of work where I had proved over and over again that it's not always mistrust, it's lack of access. And in fact, there are a couple of research studies that show there's no difference in what we call consenting, that is a patient giving their permission to participate in a trial. But there is a difference in the amount that doctors ask those patients. So there's almost this assumed bias that we're going to say no because of mistrust, because of XYZ. And I'll be honest, when I've done trainings around patient recruitment for a clinical trial, I've had physicians physically say that, well, Black people don't trust clinical research. Like, what should I say? So in that particular moment, that tells me that they're not even giving that opportunity. So one of the things we've talked about is ask all your patients that you think qualify, not just those that you think will participate. So they'll give them the opportunity, that autonomy to say no. But by not even asking, you're removing that from them. And just that mindset has really helped, because doctors realize that, you know what, maybe I'm not equitably asking everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's like another kind of bias.
Exactly.
Which is just like, which is also fear-based, right? I don't want to be rejected.
Of course.
So how do you, when you say patient recruitment, tell me what you mean by that.
So for any trial, we have to have patients. Patients are the most important part of that. The doctors are great, but we actually can't have clinical research trials and medications without people participating.
Yeah, right.
So that's a whole job. And I did that for about 8 years, because even though I had this great science degree, I learned that was the place where I could create education materials. Before all of this, I was a physics teacher, and teaching physics to high school students, they are not easily entertained, but I figured out a way to make it fun. I joke that I had 2 physics classes when I first started, and when I left, I was teaching physics all day because I was really able to engage. Also just a lot of young women joining the class because I was teaching, and they saw that example. But I learned that anybody can learn. Anybody can understand. We just have to package it the correct way. And I took that same exact thought process to patient recruitment when I started getting into clinical research, because I would read the materials and I said, nobody's going to understand this if we don't break down the language. So instead of sitting there writing the protocols, I said, I want to sit here where I can actually touch the community and people, and also help doctors speak in a little bit more health literacy friendly way, so that we can start breaking down that mistrust and people will want to actually participate in research. So that's what that entire job is about. And so I've had the opportunity to do community engagement events where I'm literally speaking with people about clinical research, help doctors do the same, because at times they don't know how to connect with communities. And it's been pretty amazing. I know when I originally started, the head of our Takeda was wondering, he was like, LaShell, city by city, this is going to take a long time. And I said, trust the vision, because we're showing up and we're giving education. We're starting at the very, very beginning and giving people the autonomy to really make a decision about whether they want to participate, and it'll set us apart. And furthermore, this is exactly what people need to really start trusting research. They just need to know what's going on, because we usually don't tell them. We just give them a medication and it's approved, and they never think about where it ever came from.
Yeah. Well, it's good, Takeda, to listen, because I really feel like the grassroots is the way to go when you're talking about changing people's perceptions or even getting the word out, to your point about access. Sometimes we just don't know.
Absolutely. And that usually is the biggest hurdle. Whenever I do a community engagement event, I ask, how many of you have participated in a clinical research trial? Usually it's 1 or 2 people. And usually everyone in the audience has never known that that person has participated. So it's a great discussion because they can share their experience, which usually is pretty positive. It also puts a face to that clinical research trial, but it also shares with me that people are just not getting that information, or it's hard to find, or they don't know where to look. And we need to do a better job as pharmaceutical companies of really being that bridge in partnership with community leaders.
We are talking with LaShell Robinson, and I want to find out, when we continue this conversation, as a person who's not in this business, who's not, just a community member, why would I want to do this? What's beneficial for me and my community if I was going to get involved? And I know a couple of my doctor friends are probably shaking their heads right now, because we've had this conversation off the air many times, but we'll have it on the air when we continue on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money, or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help. Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's free Playdate Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's free Playdate Block Party.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
And we're learning a few things today. I always like to learn. We're talking with the executive director and head of global feasibility and trial equity for Takeda, LaShell Robinson. What even is trial equity?
So when we think about clinical research, one of the aspects that really pops out is that not everyone has the equitable opportunity to participate. So I didn't want to start out with equal opportunity, because even where we place our sites, we tend to go to the same locations. If you look at primarily where we conduct research, a lot of clinical research in the California area, very, very, very heavy in the Northeast, but there almost is a desert when we get to Southeast, like Mississippi, Louisiana, even the Midwest. And so part of that is really raising up that we need to do a better job of having our sites distributed equitably across geography. So my new role is also looking at even country footprint. We tend to go to some of the same countries. So can we expand access even at that global level? Because everyone needs access to new innovative medicine, and the only way it gets there is through clinical research.
We're creatures of habit. We go back to the same places over and over and over again. So if I if I hear about a clinical trial and say from one of my doctor friends, and I'm thinking about, well, do I do this or do I not do it? What's in it for the community? What's in it for me?
So a few things. So I always like to talk about the risks and benefits. I'll start with the risks. It couldn't work, right? We know that it is an investigational medication. And I know that that's a term we usually don't use, but it's important to know that it is not approved. We are investigating it. We're testing it. And in order to do that, we need people. But in the context of that clinical research trial, you have things called study visits. So for example, you may have to come every 3 months to get a check-in with your doctor. And I don't know about you, but usually that's only annually, right? And during that checkup, they have to usually do a physical visit. They have to ask you if there's anything going on with the medication, and you are required to report that. I always talk about those advertisements that you see where it lists, do you have a hangnail, or maybe you've gotten blood clots, but it gives all of the, we call adverse events or side effects. All of that comes out of research. So that's one way you're contributing to that knowledge if you're participating. But also you get access to that particular doctor. I mean, they are required to follow you throughout the lifetime. So even if you break your leg and it's not associated with the clinical trial, you have to report that to the study coordinator and what we call the principal investigator. That is the doctor doing the trial. So just from that basis, you get more oversight and care. But I also like to mention too that at times you could get the medication for free depending on that clinical trial, or little to no cost. So we do take care of those costs because we're asking you to participate. The least we can do is cover that. We try to make it as least burdensome as possible. But as I just mentioned too, I always like to overemphasize there could be that chance that it doesn't work. And so that is the risk of participating in that clinical research trial. But you can see that you're contributing to data that can help the community. And I always say you're kind of paying it forward. It's really altruistic when you're participating in clinical research or helping those future generations. Because it takes about 10 years for it to get approved, to be honest with you.
Wow. So it's part of a long process. But
absolutely.
It's an important part. I do think, that having us in the room is always going to be important. Talk to me about this We Connect portal.
So this is a platform called WeConnectPatients.com that Takeda put together before we had a website that just said about clinical trial research. And I wanted to make it something that the community could connect with. So myself and our patient recruitment person kind of came together and put together this website with some of my ideas, and she kind of did the technical piece. But now it's actually a patient portal where people can register. They can look at information about clinical research. So if you had a question about what is an IRB, or what are these terms like efficacy, effectiveness, what is the difference between phase 1 and phase 3? All of that information can be found on that website in pretty plain language. In addition to that, you can also see the trials that are ongoing at Takeda and sign up to either participate in the trial or even find out more information. It will match you with a site that's nearby if there's one located near you. But furthermore, if you're not ready, you can actually just sign up and pick an area of interest, and we'll send communication just to give more information. In addition to that, I mean, there's clinicaltrials.gov. I like to always mention the other places because that's specific to Takeda. And usually every other pharmaceutical company has some sort of website where they also talk about their clinical trials. But WeConnectPatients.com is the one that we have put together with Takeda with a very intentional name because we want to connect with patients. We want them to connect and be in the know and really know the latest and greatest that's out there around innovation in medicine.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm on the site right now, and it does list a whole bunch of trials: sleep disorders, colorectal cancer, psoriasis, celiac, all of these where there may be one or more studies that you could register to be a part of. Have you ever convinced a friend or family member to get involved in a clinical trial?
Yeah, absolutely. So before this, at my former company, I had the chance to work on the COVID-19 pandemic trials. And that was, I always laugh because before that happened, I don't really think my family understood what I did. How do you explain that you do patient recruitment for clinical research? And my mom was like, she's not a doctor, but she does something with medicine. Well, at that moment, I think they all understood what I actually did. And I actually pulled them together and did a session to really talk about phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 and what that meant, because with Operation Warp Speed, even they were, very confused. And when we actually started one of my trials, my mom joined. My mom joined one of the COVID-19 trials because she was just so proud of not only the work her daughter was doing, but she wanted to have that representation. She now understood how important it was. And in addition to that, a lot of, community members, I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, so some of those members also participated. But yeah, that's been my little green folder here a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think not everyone has always participated. Some have had that skepticism, but I've also participated in a clinical research trial. I'm in one now that's not affiliated with Takeda. So I try to be that example that I'm preaching about.
Walking the walk. LaShell Robinson is with us with Takeda, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
New Always Pocket Flex Foam will change the way you think about pads. Get full-size protection in a surprisingly tiny pack that fits right in your purse or pocket. Perfect for life on the go. With up to 0 leaks, 0 feel, and 0 bunching, you'll forget you're even wearing a pad. And Always Pocket Flex Foam is designed to adapt to your body, so you can move freely and confidently throughout your day. Experience the future of period protection with new Always Pocket Flex Foam. Pick up your pack today.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
LaShell Robinson, it's really an interesting conversation. You said you yourself are in a clinical trial, so you're walking the walk, not just talking the talk. If I was interested, if I was considering this, what would I do?
So first, I would always tell you to consult your doctor. Even if your doctor is not involved with the clinical research trial, I think that that's always a great conversation to have. And then some of the questions that, we recommend asking is, how long is the trial? How many visits? Because it can be pretty disruptive. So for example, the one that I'm in, I go every single quarter, and it involves me driving all the way into Baltimore, which is about a 35-minute drive and a 35-minute out. So those are the things you want to ask. Am I going to be compensated? Like, what are the costs that are going to be covered? Because, yes, we cover some costs, but sometimes if it's standard of care, we bill the insurance. So you want to be very clear about that. Ask about the benefits, too. Is this drug, I always like to remind people that not every single drug is approved for every indication. So maybe ask, has it been approved in other disease states? Because that can provide some comfort, or maybe not, but it's some knowledge that you should know. And then what are some of those risks? Those are the questions that I would ask. And then, of course, it's totally up to you. We have this process called the informed consent. And it's a pretty large document. I will say it's about 25 pages, but it literally spells out everything of a clinical research trial. And you have to actually sign that before you're allowed to participate. And then the biggest thing that you should know is that if anytime you change your mind, you can withdraw. So you can say yes, but that doesn't mean you have to stay in that clinical research trial. Admittedly, for the COVID-19 vaccine trial that I was in, they moved the location much further from my house. And so I did end up withdrawing because it was too inconvenient to go. And it was like the 3rd year of the trial.
Wow, that's great information. 60 seconds here, LaShell Robinson. What do you want to leave us with this morning?
So first and foremost, I would say definitely visit WeConnectPatients.com. But also, when you are considering a clinical trial, don't be afraid to ask questions. Some of those questions that I just mentioned. Also, when you're going through your care, I would also encourage you to look at a website to see if you're included. A lot of the medications that you'll look at, you'll notice that maybe we're not included and there could be differences. And there's a lovely website called Drug Trial Snapshots that provides all that information. So again, of course, visit Takeda, WeConnectPatients.com. Remember to ask your doctor first and ask those tough questions, and then find out about your medication. Do that research. Drug Trial Snapshots, is a great place to find information and see if you were actually represented or people that look like you were in that trial.
LaShell Robinson, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, it's time for news, traffic, and sports. You know we're going to keep you in the know. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. There may be no turning back hours after President Trump called for Iran's, quote, unconditional surrender. That country's supreme leader said in a social media post, in part, the battle begins. This comes as the White House is sending out a warning to travelers.
Not to travel to Israel or Iraq, and not to travel to Iran under any